Hey everyone, how you doing? This is William Sensei. Finally a Friday, yes. So we are definitely excited for the Friday. And what we're going to do is continue on to part 2 of the athlete's playbook. Yeah. So this is very important. So before you come to Japan, they have to apply 14 days before travel. Each athlete has this special contact person. You need to be in close contact with this person from 14 days before you enter the country. You need to make sure everything's set up, that you're ready to go, that you've been tested. You'll be required to have medical treatment and repatriation insurance included by the COVID-19, covering the entire period of your stay in Japan. So they need to have insurance before they even come into the country, right? And I think the IOC mentioned that they're not going to be responsible if something bad happens or if they get the COVID-19 in Japan. They're not responsible. So it's really all on the athletes. It's kind of like they're really making you come and not having any responsibility. So that's not good. Oh, another thing about this 14-day. They're supposed to monitor their health for 14 days before arrival in Japan. They need to obtain negative COVID test result certificates in a designated certificate format. So I was able to get the negative test certificate of testing for COVID-19. So I'll throw it up there later. But yeah, you need to have this. When you arrive in Japan, you have to quarantine on arrival for the first 3 days. So there is a minimum 3-day requirement. Once you arrive, you have to isolate. So let's go over the testing overview to make it really quick and simple. So 2 COVID-19 tests are taken on 2 separate days within 96 hours of the departure of your flight to Japan. Next, entering Japan on arrival, you will get a qualitative saliva antigen test is conducted. And if positive or unclear, further tests will be performed using the same sample to verify your results. On entering Japan, all overseas game participants are tested daily with quantitative saliva antigen or saliva PCR test depending on the role for the first 3 days. And daily testing for the first 3 days is also conducted at pre-games training camps and host towns if relevant. Good. Now, at the games, here we go. Athletes and officials, daily screening and testing, if positive, followed by a saliva PCR from the same sample, results within 12 hours. Okay, so if positive, inconclusive or confirmatory nasopharyngeal PCR test is conducted, results within 3 to 5 hours. So I think that sounds very similar to what I think the NFL was doing. Now, other participants, regular screening and testing with saliva PCR is conducted either every day, every 4 days, or every 7 days, depending on the level of contact you will have with the athletes. And those results will come within 24 hours. So if positive or inconclusive, confirmatory nasopharyngeal PCR test is conducted. Alright. And another big thing is if you leave Japan, you have to leave Japan within 48 hours after your last sporting event. So if you played basketball and your team is out of the running, you got basically 2 days to get out of Dodge. That's the thing. And then there's a departure test also. If your country requires you to have a test as you're leaving, you're going to get that too. All right. The majority of people who are testing positive for COVID-19, which was in Tokyo yesterday, was over 500 again after a couple of weeks of being under 500, is the younger people. So the people in their 20s, early 30s. Who are the people coming in for the Olympics? The people in the 20s. Right? So these are the people that are basically spreading the COVID-19. The age of these athletes for the majority of them. So that's why I think the people are worried. And that's why the doctors are saying we shouldn't have it. And that's why so many people are protesting against having the Olympics. Because I think the age group is very suspect, right? So also what came out today, or maybe last night, was the press version of the Playbook. So all the media people coming in to Japan have a Playbook. And I think the big takeaway from that one was they also need to be on this app, which is GPS tracking of where you are all the time. So I think there's been some privacy issues raised. Why do we have to follow this? And why we should be able to go, or the press, we should be able to do it. But no. So it does not mean for local journals. So even local journalists, you are fine. But the international journalists coming over, you're going to be tracked. So get used to it. All right? We don't want you out there in Shibuya hanging out, taking pictures, and then spreading the COVID if you've got it. All right? So that's the deal. But easy with GPS app, you just turn it off. All right? Any app you've got, you turn off the power, they can't trace shit. So, how many more days to go for the Olympics? 35 days to go. 35 days to go. 30, 35. Yes, so 35 days to go before the Olympics. All right, getting closer. We will try to go outside tomorrow. I think the weather today was not bad, but I still wasn't feeling it. So tomorrow, hopefully, if it's good weather, we could go outside and do some other little special for you. And as for the COVID, the numbers, like I said, not going down like they anticipated, but the big news was they are going to still release the state of emergency. So this Sunday, the 20th, that'll be it. Except for Okinawa. So you be safe. Mask up. Wash your hands. Keep the COVID out of your body. And we will see you again tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye.